UFC 330 Makhachev versus Garry just ended in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and it was an okay card. I'm going to go through every single fight and my reaction to it. Let's get right into it. We started off with one of the biggest underdog upsets that I've probably seen in the UFC. Mytykbek Orolbai goes out there against Jeremiah Wells as a minus 1,200 favorite, and this dude is winning the first two rounds and decides to go forward even more and gets clocked by Jeremiah Wells, who was fighting in his hometown, gets a knockdown, gets cracked with the right hand, and as Orolbai panics and shoots for a takedown, Jeremiah Wells gets a guillotine choke on him and puts him out cold. Amazing win from Jeremiah Wells. He kind of semi-retires. No one ever saw that coming. I had Orolbai as a lock in this card, and he ended up losing, obviously. Wells with a sub round 3. Absolutely insane. Orolbai, you have lost my trust forever. The next fight on the card was Magny versus Brahimaj, and I feel like I called this fight pretty well because Magny had answers to everything that Brahimaj threw at him. Brahimaj gets a takedown early, keeps Magny flat for most of the round, for the first round. Nothing much happens. The second round, he tries to do it again, and he gasses out. Magny's cardio is good. He stays with it, gets up, and eventually just starts raining shots on Brahimaj against the cage. And it's a TKO victory for round 2. I had him winning by unanimous decision, but Brahimaj gets fraud checked, similar to Orolbai. It's just, man, Brahimaj just did not show anything previously in his UFC career that makes me think he would have beat a guy like Magny. Magny gets it done again, did what he had to do. We move on. The first 3 fights were great. Rafael Tobias versus Fernando. This dude, Fernando, is a must-watch every single fight that he has moving forward. This Brazilian striker is disgusting. He goes out there and gets a round 3 KO with a nasty flush knee to the liver of Tobias, whatever they were calling him. And the first round, Fernando's just piecing up Tobias, has nothing for him on the feet. You can just tell he starts getting scared out there. He's starting to be very timid. Fernando's just doing everything he wants, body shots, landing numerous calf kicks on him that compromised the leg of Tobias. I'm just going to call him Tobias because they were calling him Tobias. I didn't like that. Fernando fell at the end of round 1, and there was nothing that Tobias could do. Round 2, one of the hardest jabs I've seen in my life in the UFC, puts Tobias down. Fernando is just this guy. He has slick speed, precision, every single thing you would want in striking, and he has some pretty decent power at light heavyweight. It looked like it was a straight cross that landed on Tobias, to be quite honest, and it was just a jab that he kind of stepped into a bit more. 60% of his punches were landing. It was elite Muay Thai. He's absolutely a specialist. And round 3 was more of the same thing, and then Tobias tried to go in towards him, knowing he needs a finish. And it was just a flush knee right to the liver, delayed reaction, ground and pound. That's it. Fernando gets it done. Amazing. Absolutely love this guy. Can't wait to see him fight again. I said unanimous decision, gets it done, round 3 KO. The next fight, Vicente Luque versus Tresean Gore, wasn't a terrible fight. Luque popping a jab, stinging low kicks, multiple overhand rights being thrown by Tresean Gore that were getting to Luque. You could tell they were stinging him. And eventually one lands on Luque, and you can tell it hurts him. He's backing up. And at the end of the round, I think 2 or 3 heavy shots were landed by Luque, but it wasn't enough, I think, to get Luque the first round. Gore wins the first round. Round 2, throwing heavy again. Good left hook. Good left hook lands by Vicente Luque. Tresean Gore shoots a takedown and almost gets caught in the darce that gasses out Luque's arms because he tried so hard, could not get it. Round 3, Luque's looking extremely labored. Gore's looking better and better on the feet. Looks way better on the feet than I thought he did. At least improved a lot since his last fight. Maybe it was just because of Vicente Luque, but he looked decent out there. I was kind of harsh on him on this breakdown and prediction because I did have Luque winning, and Gore gets a unanimous decision win, just outpacing and kind of being everywhere, or being better everywhere in this fight. At the end of the round, at the end of round 3, at the end of the fight, they're trading, and Vicente Luque throws a flying knee that knocks out multiple teeth of Tresean Gore. And obviously Tresean Gore wins, but he's talking in the post-fight interview, and he's just bleeding out of the mouth, and he's a dog. So crazy that he just didn't wilt to that, but yeah, he says he's going to take his 2 paychecks, get that fixed, and be back. So good win by Tresean Gore. I got that wrong. We were 2-2 going in to the 5th fight, in which Donte Johnson almost decapitates a man. I didn't know how this fight was going to go because I thought Donte Johnson looked like garbage against Cody Brundage and just doing a lot of like feints and everything. But he came out with some intensity tonight and absolutely put it on Eric McConico, who was looking great in the first round, was piecing up Donte Johnson, looking way better on the feet. But Donte Johnson just has different power, and all he needs is one shot, and it was a straight right, I think. Was it a straight right or a straight left? Let's see. Might have been a straight left, but whatever it was fully extended when he touched McConico's face, put him out cold immediately, and then landed 2 shots that were not needed on the ground. And the second shot, when he was pulling back to land it, the elbow hit the ref and almost knocked him out. So hell of a finish for Donte Johnson, and he wants more fights in the future anywhere. Apparently he's talking about welterweight, which I think would be a bad move, but crazy stuff. Crazy highlight reel knockout from Donte Johnson. I had that wrong as well. Thought that McConico would be able to outpoint him, and he went to sleep. Next fight, Charles Johnson versus Eduardo Chapolin. Great fight. Chapolin's going to be in the UFC in the near future. He's going to get more fights because this was a great fight. And the first round, Charles Johnson was in trouble. Chapolin was looking great. And if it wasn't for an eye poke that Herzog does not see, and then an illegal knee while Johnson is a grounded opponent, which then Chapolin gets a point taken from. So now the round's 9-9. Chapolin would have won that round. The second round, again, Chapolin's looking very technical. Charles Johnson's not doing enough on the feet. He's just feinting. He's not throwing enough out there. Lands a left hook that puts Charles Johnson down. Charles starts wobbling all over the place, trying to shoot takedowns. And it was probably like that for a minute and a half. And then he recovers. Chapolin's starting to get tired because he's on short notice. Prep, he was like on, I think it was 4 days. And Johnson lands a flurry at the end of round 2. But I'm looking at it as Chapolin with round 2 as well winning. Or winning round 2. So now I'm thinking, well, he's won 2 rounds. Charles Johnson's looking like shit. And but it's obviously 10-9 because, or I guess 29-28 technically. And we go into the third round, and Johnson's pressing the gas because he knows that Chapolin's getting tired, and because he knows that he needs to at least win this round to get a draw. Chapolin shoots a takedown that Johnson reverses. He gets on top of him, gets to the back, almost loses position. Chapolin's about to get on top of him, and Johnson still had the body lock in. He baited him into it and gets a Scottish twister to end the fight. Incredible submission, rare submission. It's happened twice in the UFC, and Charles Johnson, of all people, decides he's going to be Scottish. Who knew? So amazing win for Charles Johnson to kind of grit that out, and amazing submission, amazing finish. I loved it. I thought that was one of the better fights of the night, to be honest. It was definitely top 2. And yeah, incredible stuff from Charles Johnson. We'll see if he fights for a 5th time this year, even though I think he should probably call it for this year because he did not look good. against Chapolin, who I thought he should kind of dominate, to be honest. We move on. Joel Alvarez versus Chidi Njokuani. What the fuck are you doing, Joel Alvarez? What are you doing? You were surrounded by greatness this entire fight camp of Islam Makhachev because you're helping him out for Ian Garry. And when I watched Joel Alvarez put up the performance that he just did tonight, I was deeply concerned for Islam more than I already was because Ian Garry was that good. And I'm hearing that Joel Alvarez is the one helping Islam prepare for the striking battle. And then I watched 15 minutes of Joel Alvarez laughing and smiling and basically looking like he's in a sparring session with Chidi Njokuani, who's an elite Muay Thai fighter, and just picking him apart at range, damaging the legs, hitting jabs whenever he wanted to, straight shots whenever he wanted to, body kicks, switch kicks, nasty performance from Chidi Njokuani. I had Joel Alvarez as a lock because I thought he was going to initiate some grappling maybe. I thought he was going to wear Chidi out, which is how you beat Chidi Njokuani. You do not stand at range against a lanky Muay Thai fighter and just let him pick you apart like he did to Joel Alvarez. Stupid, stupid, stupid game plan from Joel Alvarez. He landed maybe 6 flurries of boxing combinations on Chidi that did not do damage whatsoever. Horrible performance from Joel Alvarez. But great win from Chidi Njokuani, and it was apparently his last fight of his contract, so we don't know if he's going to stick around or not, but it was a good win from him. Joel Alvarez just shit the bed, to be quite honest. Huge favorite as well. The next fight is a little bit depressing. Edson Barboza versus Esteban Ribovics. It was dead man walking for Edson Barboza, who gets his ass whooped by Ribovics, and I think we all knew this was going to happen. Barboza is too strong and too gritty for his own good, and eventually just gets put out standing. Ribovics was just doing what he does, pressing forward, throwing a lot of shots, landing some damage, landing some heavy shots, and Edson Barboza stayed in there and had a nasty cut on his shin at the end of round 1, kept going, and then Ribovics just pressed him and eventually gets the KO. But it was nothing highlight reel. It was just Herb Dean looking at Barboza as like a dying animal and just called it. Tough performance from Barboza. He retires, and we'll miss him. I mean, he's been a great fighter all these years. Great highlight reels. I mean, you could just watch a highlight video of Edson Barboza and be entertained for every single minute that it's on. So he was very emotional. I think we were all very emotional, but Esteban Ribovics beats the crap out of one of his idols. So that was a lock, but we kind of all knew that was going to happen. And then my next lock on the card, which I did not expect, was Dustin Stoltzfus beating the crap out of the lock on of my card. The one of the locks that I had. Mansur Abdul Malik. I mean, I don't even know what to say. Again, I don't know what performance was worse, his or Joel Alvarez, to be quite honest. I mean, Abdul Malik's chin is out there to get hit. His grappling defense looked terrible. And I don't want to take away any credit from Dustin Stoltzfus, who had a hell of a performance. But Abdul Malik is clearly the more explosive guy, clearly the better striker on the feet. Maybe not defensively. And then Stoltzfus gets a takedown, and it was like there was no defense from Abdul Malik. And Abdul's getting tagged a bit. Dustin gets a double leg, picks him up, slams him in the middle of the octagon, and jumped like Michael Jordan before doing so. The hang time was ridiculous. Mansur ends up on his back in the center of the cage. I couldn't believe that happened. Dustin Stoltzfus gets round 1. Beginning of the second round, they're trading on the feet again. Each guy's getting it. A little bit of a grappling exchange. Stoltzfus, you can see there's more damage on his face somehow, even though he's doing better in the fight. And eventually, they get into another exchange, and Mansur Abdul Malik gets fucking rocked, and you can see him wobbling all over the place from a punch that looks hard, don't get me wrong, but nothing like, oh God, that should cause this much damage. He got so overwhelmed from the pace and grappling of Dustin Stoltzfus, and then he's eventually on the ground, and Stoltzfus, I think he takes his back and gets choked out by a rear naked choke. I mean, it was I just couldn't believe it. He's a -700 favorite, and there's fights where you can be like, you might not get through durability wise, but he just got outclassed by Dustin Stoltzfus, and no one expected that. That was the last lock I had on the card, and I went 1-3 on the locks, so not a good night for the locks, but that's okay. Huge underdog win for Dustin Stoltzfus, and that was the second biggest underdog win. And then I was really concerned because we had a clown as an underdog in the main event. Mansur looked like dog shit. Terrible. But yeah, rear naked choke round 2 from Stoltzfus. And then the next fight on the card brought some sanity back, because this Kaue Fernandes, who looks like the Brazilian Timothy Chalamet, is out there, and you could tell he's being so cocky, and he really thought he was going to win this fight. Jalin Turner comes out within the first half minute and sleeps him. Beautiful performance from Jalin Turner. I could not see any way, shape, or form that Kaue Fernandes was going to be able to win this fight, and Jalin Turner just pressed him immediately and put it on him. Kaue Fernandes, for whatever reason, decided that a spinning back fist up towards the cage was the way to go. And as soon as he turns around, his chin's exposed. Jalin Turner hits him with a left hook, ground and pound. That's it. Beautiful. I loved seeing the Brazilian Timothy Chalamet get his ass whooped. It was amazing. I loved it. I like Jalin Turner a lot. I am curious what happens. He wants to get ranked, and I'm just kind of waiting for another check, like what happened to him before when he was ranked. So we'll see what happens, but he is violent when he's in fights like this. So it's always a fun fight when Jalin Turner is fighting. But yeah, I said late round 2 KO, early round 1 KO from Jalin Turner. 5-5 going into the co-main and main event, and I am not the biggest Mackenzie Dern fan, and I could utilize the next 20 minutes absolutely shitting on her. But I'm not going to, because she is very good. For the first 2.5 rounds, I was watching Mackenzie Dern look amazing as a women's strawweight fighter. I was very pleased with the performance that I was seeing from her. And I knew, I did not put her as a lock, because you just can't with women. But I knew Gillian Robertson was going to have 0 for her this entire fight. I knew that Gillian Robertson her specialty was jiu-jitsu, and I knew there was no way she was beating Mackenzie Dern in jiu-jitsu. I also knew that Gillian Robertson, which for some reason people didn't understand this, cannot strike on the feet to save her life. And for the first 3 rounds, she was scared and mortified to strike on the feet with Mackenzie Dern, who looked great because Perillo, her coach, has done an amazing job on her striking. And then the last 2 rounds were basically Mackenzie Dern looking for submissions, staying safe when she knew she wasn't going to get them, and laying on her back to finish off her first defense of the strawweight title in the UFC. And it was just, it's like I felt the energy from the arena zap away those last 2 rounds. And I felt like the arena was feeling what I was feeling, where it's like, This is good. Like we can get behind this woman's fighter. We can get behind Mackenzie Dern. She may be hot, she may be not, but she's actually a good fighter and she's somewhat exciting and she might be able to get a finish. And then you just don't. You just sit there for the next 2 rounds when you were dominating Gillian Robertson. Just sucks. It just sucks. She gets up, she immediately does the belt thing. And I hate that because obviously you won, but we have to make a statement, Mackenzie. Make a statement. It was like I was watching the Verna fight all over again, and I couldn't believe it. And Gillian Robertson, I felt so bad for her because I thought it was kind of odd that she was smiling the entire buildup of this fight, and she was doing it in the cage too, and you could tell going into the 5th round, dejected. Just completely had no soul going into that 5th round. Dean Thomas, the corner, is quiet as well for her. I mean, it was depressing, and I feel bad for her, but in no way, I feel like the UFC made this matchup. I don't know what Zhang Weili is doing, but Mackenzie Dern cannot do what she just did if she faces Weili. And I feel like the UFC set up Robertson so they can get a win for Mackenzie Dern because they do like her and they know she's promotable. But my God, I think Weili beats the crap out of her if she tries to do some shit like that. Mackenzie Dern wins unanimous decision. Easy fight to call. 6-5 going into the main event. Feels nice, doesn't it? To breathe again. To be able to feel that the world is right. To feel greatness is upon us. And we have witnessed greatness once again. Because Islam Makhachev beats Ian Garry unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, everything that has made that possible. Thank you, Khabib. Thank you, Abdul. Thank you, Islam. Thank you, Usman. Thank you, Umar. Thank you, Chanko. Thank God it's over. Ian Garry did extremely well in this fight. As I thought he would. I did think he was going to get submitted, but little did I know Islam Makhachev was going to land a flush left high kick that knocked Ian Garry on his ass. And I freaked out because I did not I wanted him choked out. But when I saw the possibility that he was going to get his face pushed into the canvas, I got even more excited. Round 1, Islam Makhachev gets a takedown, basically hangs on the fence the entire time on Ian Garry. Ian Garry can't do anything. Round 2, Ian's landing a couple shots. By the way, pushes Islam up against the cage. Now, it's not grappling per se, but I said he was going to do some shit like this. He was going to test himself. And not only did he do it, he then backs up and it cost him dearly because he gets clocked with that left high kick. Islam stays on top of him for the entire round, almost trying to latch up some submissions, but could not get them. And, Ian Garry survives, looks fine, looks recovered by the end of the round. Round 3, nothing much on the feet again until halfway. Islam shoots a takedown. Ian reverses it, stays on the feet. Ian lands a high kick of his own, starts landing more body kicks. And in the late 3rd round, starts really damaging the knee of Islam Makhachev with oblique kicks. It's 2-1 going into the 4th, and I'm shitting myself because I'm looking at Islam starting to gas just a bit. And I'm sitting here just saying, please, 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 do not let this happen. My night is going well. And round 4, a couple strikes each man to start off. Islam gets a takedown, keeps against Ian on the cage. And for the entirety of the round, that's what it was. Wasn't that exciting. But Ian's hitting him in the face. And Islam's starting to wear the damage on his face. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it might be 2-2. Because even though Islam got 3 takedowns, we don't know what's going to happen. because he didn't really hold him down. He didn't really have much damage on top or anything. And I'm so worried. Round 5, Ian stings Islam immediately twice to start off the round. And now I'm like shaking. Half a minute in, Islam pushes him up against the cage, trips Ian on the inside. Beautiful takedown, keeps the constant pressure. Body lock's not quite in yet. Ian switches to the other side. Islam locks up the body lock, and that's the round. Hitting him from the back, riding out on the back, and Islam wins the 5th round. And Ian Garry, although he had a decent game plan, did not address the body lock whatsoever in the 5th round against Islam. And not only that, he did not move whatsoever in this fight. I don't know if he was trying to conserve energy. I don't know if he thought that he could just sting Islam better by not moving. I don't know if he thought that getting pushed up against the cage might be an option for Islam if Ian was moving around. I don't know if they thought that maybe Islam's movement was that efficient. Like I said in the prediction, that he was going to be able to corral him and Ian was going to be put into a corner, which we all know he likes. Thank God it's over. Just thank God it's over. Islam breaks the winning streak of Anderson Silva. It's greatness. We want to see greatness. Anybody rooting for Ian Garry, I couldn't believe it. I'm not going to come at you, but I just wanted to see greatness. I was taken. My joy of seeing greatness was taken from me when Ilia Topuria lost. Islam gets it done. I believed in him. He got it done. The game plan was good. And I think the first round, the game plan was to win that, do exactly what they did, ride in out on the fence, just test his grappling a bit, see where the strength is, where the comparison is, because that first round looks so big in hindsight. Islam, says his piece on the mic afterwards. And then we give the mic. We got to stop doing this. We got to stop giving the mic to the loser at the end of these championship fights. Because Islam, after he's done, and we're all just jumping for joy that he wins, Ian Garry gets the mic from Joe Rogan and speaks for 10 fucking minutes straight. About 7 minutes were in English and about 3 were in Brazilian. And I give this man credit for having a hell of a mentality and a hell of a fortitude of a mind. But for once, shut up. And I desperately need Michael Morales to knock this dude out cold. But I don't think it's going to happen. Ian Garry is going to be a champion. Whether I like it or not, whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. It's going to be some of the worst years we have ever seen in UFC history. But it's going to happen. And I'm preparing myself now. But I am so glad that it did not happen with him beating Islam Makhachev. Because I cannot see Ian Garry be one of the greatest fighters of all time in UFC history. I just can't. No one can see that. We don't want that. If that was to happen, the world is shattered. I mean, this dude's blowing kisses and putting up hearts to his son and Layla in the middle of the fight. He's got choose love on his chest, tattooed with fucking 2 cupids. I don't want love. I want war when I'm watching the UFC. And Ian Garry, I'll tell you this, for as good of a striker as he is, my God, his finishing ability might not be there. So I'm curious what happens with him next. Islam goes on to win. I'm curious what happens with him next because Michael Morales is a big threat. I don't think Carlos Prates is that much of a threat. But thank God. That's all I can say. Thank God it's over. I can breathe again. Islam gets it done. And as far as results for the predictions that I had, we are now 82-26, 76%. I went 7-5. The checklist went 7-5. The checklist is now 80-28, 74% there. The locks are now 34-9. Horrible night for locks. Horrible. 1-3. But the locks are 34-9, so it's still almost 80%. So we're doing all right. We're doing all right. And I knew I was going to have somewhat of a tough card after going 12-0 last week. It is what it is. But other than that, been seeing a lot of subscribers lately. Thank you all for that. Like, comment, please keep subscribing. And for more MMA content, I will be back tomorrow for Dana White Contender Series predictions. Thank God, Islam. Thank you so much. We don't need to hear Ian for at least another couple months. Until then, everyone, take it easy.